I'm here to talk about mobile. It's going to be interesting, the setup of the room, not the speech. So I'm just going to, wander around a bit. I hope everyone's okay with that. I am mic'd up, but apparently that's for the camera, not for around here. So I'll try and be loud as possible. If you can't hear me, just put your hand up. And we're going to keep it quite informal, quite light. That's just the way I like to do things. Jump in at any time. Ask me any questions. We'll do a bit of interactive stuff as well. I'll ask you a few questions. Something I've learned today as well is a good lesson if you're ever doing public speaking. Don't check the attendee list before you come. It's pretty intimidating. I realized that I stole a hell of a lot of stats from Google. I've got two guys from Google in the room. So I'm sorry if this is boring for you guys. But the reason I did that is I didn't want this to be a kind of PayPal love-in, and we've got some cool mobile stats, but we're not yet to hear about PayPal, we're yet to hear about mobile, so I had to go somewhere else to find data, and the second best place you can get data on mobile is Google. And also I've touched very lightly on a very sensitive subject, that is the London riots. I have a slight theory on that, and then I realized that the police commissioner, the district commissioner of Surrey Police is here, so I could get into trouble for what I say there as well. Also realized that there may be a few grammar errors, and there's a copywriter in the house tonight. I'm sorry in advance, please don't call it out publicly. So let's get on with it. We're going to talk about mobiles, very passionate subject for me. You'll see why in the kind of introduction bit, why I love mobile. So let's get on with it. Like I said, stop me at any time, ask any questions and so on. So we all think we're pretty advanced with mobile in the UK, in America, in the first world. But I want to take you to a place where there's mobile innovation happening right now. That is, sorry, okay, I'll wonder. Sorry, yeah, cool. You guys just shout when you feel like you're being ignored by me, all right? I was just getting into my flow. Yeah, sorry, guys. So I'm going to take you to a place where our future of mobile is happening right now. We'll think we're pretty advanced. I'm going to take you to a place called Africa. So yeah, I'm talking about Africa. Africa is kicking our butts when it comes to mobile innovation. I'll give you 3 examples, okay? And I'll also tell you why after those examples. Let's start with South Africa. We'll talk about mobile penetration. When's mobile going to become big? When mobile outdoes traditional internet in terms of usage. In South Africa, as you can see by the stats, there's 6 million users, internet users in South Africa. Only 750 of those are on broadband. The rest of them are on some funny wired service that's about 100K or so. The rest of them are on some sort of mobile internet. These guys are years ahead of us. And more than half of them don't even use the desktop internet anymore. Abby's going to shout every time I ignore this side. What if I stand here and go like, is that better? Can everyone hear me? Yeah? All right. So we're talking a lot about penetration at the moment. When is mobile going to become mainstream? Well, in Africa, it's already mainstream. That's not just in South Africa, by the way. There's great stats about Kenya, and there's great stats about Nairobi. Can't think of the word now. Nigeria. So there's a network you may or may not have heard of. It's called Mxit. It started in South Africa. Purely for mobile phones. It was the original kind of, this is a free messenger service that uses data, right? Born and bred in South Africa. What's amazing about it is we hear all the time about Facebook and Twitter, how amazing they are. Look at those stats. It's much more engaged. Sorry, all those stats. It's much more engaged in some very key stats, such as they get 22 billion messages on Mxit a month as compared to Twitter. It's in 120 countries now. And there's about 43 million users. That was born and bred in Africa. And you know what is also interesting is that launched in 2003. Can anyone remind me when Facebook was launched?
2004.
Was it? Twitter? 2007? Google. I do love Google Plus, by the way. Yeah. I would like them to win. But anyway. So what about, imagine this right now, just wherever you like to go out, maybe it's central London. I met my wife in a beautiful place called Strawberry Moons. It's off Regent Street. So what if I decided to go to Strawberry Moons for the night, and they were sewing, I don't know, take that or something, it would be appropriate for that place. And with my mobile phone, I could buy those tickets with an SMS or a text message. I could get to the event, I could buy food at the event, and I could pay for the taxi there and back using text message with my mobile phone. Can anyone think of a way of doing that in the UK at the moment? Just bang, pay, bang. As you jump in the car, can you imagine a London cab? You jump in the car, mate, I'm going to pay you with a text message. Are you cool with that? Yeah. Can you imagine? It's not going to work. It's happening in Kenya right now. It's called M-Pesa, or M-Pesa, as you guys would probably say. So what happened? Yeah, it's an amazing story of a company called Safaricom, who's a cell phone network provider out there. They developed a system where you could transfer airtime to your rural neighbors or whoever you wanted. But what was happening is the guys in the big cities were transferring airtime out to their poorer rural relatives. So they realized it was a form of currency happening here. And what started happening is you could pay taxi drivers with airtime. And they figured out, actually, this is pretty interesting. So we could turn this into a banking system. So what they did is they set up a network of agents where you could go put cash in if you're in the middle of the city, and then send that cash via a text message to your relative, and they would go to their local agent, take the cash out, which is an absolutely amazing system. We don't have anything like it in this country. What they've done now is, obviously try and keep it in the loop now, so you don't even have to take cash out now. If you want to buy a gig ticket, you can go buy it straight on with your mobile system. 50% of the country uses it, and the most amazing stat there, Safaricom is the biggest bank in East Africa. It's a cell phone network. What's really interesting is that 60% of Kenyans have mobiles, but only 20% of them have a bank account. The other amazing thing about this, when compared to PayPal, there's no bank accounts linked to this. So it's a purely self-looping system. So you've got to register with Safaricom, but you don't need a bank account because it would never work because only 20% of Kenyans have bank accounts. Why is it like this? Basically, Africa is predominantly rural, and the wires just don't reach that far, and it's never going to happen. So mobile is massive in Africa. There's also a bit of, coming from South Africa, I know there's a bit of status involved with, having a cell phone. When you're a lower income earner, a cell phone is a huge thing for us. It's a very normal thing. So everyone's got one, whether they can afford it or not. But that means it's an amazing platform, and there's no bank accounts and all that kind of stuff. And there's a huge informal sector. It's something you don't really hear about in the UK, but most of the trading that goes on in Africa is informal. It's traders and marketplace people and stuff like that. There's a brilliant story that I read when I was researching M-Pesa about the Maasai tribesmen. The guys, the big strong guys with the red tops, and they all jump, they go hoo hoo to psych themselves up. They've all got mobile phones now under their big red cloaks because they go to the market and they trade there. And you know why? Because it's safer than cash. Because any smart criminal knows if they've just come from the market, they're going to have a whole lot of cash. So so they all carry mobile phones now because when they trade their whatever goods and cattle at the market, they can keep it on their phones and rather than carrying cash around. I can't imagine there's much you can do with cash in the tribe anyway, in the village. Cool. This is my favorite stat. Someone at Nokia, I believe, has worked out that 10% growth in mobile phones in Africa means 0.8% growth in GDP in your typical sub-Saharan African country. That's an amazing stat. So if we can just push cell phones out there, it just opens up the market, makes it a lot more interesting. Cool. Let's bring you back to the first world. Stop making you all feel embarrassed about what you're doing, and bring you back to the real world. We play little games called Misconception Bingo. I started writing these slides quite a few months ago, and it's amazing how quickly stuff changes. So what I thought would be pretty interesting may or may not be that interesting anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a question, and we raise hands or shout out, whatever you like. Very informal. We'll start with the first one. What would you have said before the riots? Rubbish. You would have. So I used to get a lot of people with the stat. It was always, because iPhones are so cool and aspirational, I was like, everyone's got an iPhone. Actually, no, they're too expensive, and it's not got BBM. So yeah, but that would have been different before the riots. What's the top-selling mobile platform in the world? Is it iOS, which is Apple, and who thinks it's Apple? Damn you guys. And it's only getting stronger. It's only getting stronger, which is great to see. Sorry if there's any Apple fans in the house. I'm certainly not one. We'll get on to Amazon. This presentation was finished at 2 o'clock this afternoon because all of a sudden I had to make a few amendments to my slides because of the Kindle Fire. But cool. So to be fair, one of my amendments was that underlining over there. Currently, I say currently, the iPad is pretty much unrivaled. Takes up a huge chunk of the market. That's shipments, by the way. That's not sales, so it's hard to get sales figures from both the guys. So, are iOS and Android the major players in the market? Yes or no? Yeah. I thought I'd throw that in there to throw you out. But the point is, keep an eye on another amendment to my slide, Amazon. I first had Amazon/Sony Ericsson because there were rumors that they might be doing something. I'm very glad they didn't because I've never enjoyed Sony Ericsson. I love them well, don't worry. So mobile carriers are profit-generating machines, yes or no? I think the way the question is phrased probably answers it. Apparently, and I was speaking to our sponsors just before this, apparently no. Apparently what's happening, as you can see there by the graphs, that where it says Asia, it's developed Asia. It's all in the developing worlds where this is happening. USA, Europe, and developed Asia. There's going to come a time, apparently, when the profitability of the mobile carriers, so your T-Mobiles and your 3s and whatever, it's going to dissipate. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? So what's happening is that the cost per gigabyte of usage is going down, but the amount of usage is going up. And there's this huge pressure on the mobile networks as these two lines converge. This is very interesting for me because I only just found out about it the other day. So I was really happy to add this in here. So it kind of starts to make sense when you see what these mobile networks are up to. They're doing all sorts of things. One of them is a really bad graphic of ISIS, which is a conglomerate of American carriers like AT&T and Verizon, all those big guys coming together to do mobile payments because they've realized that they can't just pump out dumb pipes anymore. That model is over. It raises an interesting question for me. It's purely just rumor. Does it mean that guys like Google, Apple, Microsoft are going to start thinking about buying up the cell phone networks? I don't know. I don't know if anyone has an opinion on that. Maybe our friends from Callmaster. Because that presents a major risk to your business model when everything you have is up in the cloud and you want people to access it on your phone if you don't have that pipe. That's a pretty interesting thing. Any opinions on that? Yes? No? No? Right. Mobile ads don't work. Do they work, Adi?
Well enough.
Pay your salary. Yes or no?
Yes.
Cool. It's a $3 billion industry. Google takes $1 billion of that. Google love it. Is that correct? That's the stats I saw.
Works well enough.
And we'll see later some more Google stats. 56% of execs are clicking on mobile ads. So not only is there a lot of people spending money on ads, but actually they're producing great results. And some results we saw testing out mobile ads when compared to our traditional banner ads online. We saw that actually it's a lot more cost effective, probably at the moment because there's slightly less demand than when you bid for keywords in the natural way. If you don't understand what I mean there, come talk to me afterwards. That's a very, it's a very involved conversation. Cool.
Sorry, the spend is what advertisers are spending. What have you got stats about what people are purchasing through mobile ads? So is that just
So what's the value? What's the value they're producing from the ads?
they can see an opportunity, they spend the money on advertising. Is there any stats to show the return on that?
It probably is. I don't have them with me, but.
Can you repeat the question, John?
So it's a question of spending money on ads. What's your return? You guys get that side as well? Spending money on mobile ads. What's the return you're getting on that? That's a great question. I don't have the answer to that, but I mean, if $3 billion are being spent, I'm pretty sure they're showing good results. We saw good results for us. I can't share those stats, unfortunately, but it was a very small test. But I'm pretty sure the answer is yes.
So, John, that's an interesting what you just said. You can't share stats on PayPal in particular, but can you maybe tell us a little bit about, or maybe you're going to, how PayPal does mobile advertising?
Andy, when people are asking questions, can people really speak up? Because down here we can't hear.
Yeah. So I can relay the question. So, yeah. And now I feel like the mobile carriers I was just talking about. Really. So my friend Shane. Genuinely is my friend Shane. Genuinely is him. I know it looks like a stock photo image, but amazingly he's got this really cool picture of him on his BlackBerry. I play cricket with him. I have the privilege of playing cricket with quite a few what we call colts, young teenage boys. Don't take that the wrong way. But I have the privilege of raising young cricketers because I'm really rubbish. So what I do is raise better cricketers. And obviously it's an interest point for me, and everyone talks about youth and mobile and stuff. So some of the stuff you won't find that interesting anymore. But when I was speaking to him about a year ago when he was 14, I found it really fascinating. And it just shows what's shifted. I think the biggest shift there, no one's surprised by the BlackBerry and the iPhone stuff anymore. But what's really amazing is that they just aren't talking to anybody anymore. It's absolutely amazing. Maybe that's why they speak so funny, because they don't practice what they talk. I always thought it was because I was a foreigner and I don't understand how these Londoners talk, but actually I've been here for 7 years or something and I still don't understand what they say. I have to tell them to slow down when I'm talking to them. So the only time, I said, come on, when do you make a call? The only time, in his words, when I'm in shit, mate, innit? That's the only time he makes a phone call. The only time he receives a phone call is from his mother. I don't know what that says about the world, about the future, but kids have forgotten how to talk. The reason, I know when I used to send a text message to a girl when I was a teenager, it was because I was shy to talk to her. So, what happens to these kids when they enter the business world and, they're not used to talking in uncomfortable situations? That's something I thought about. So I said, I asked Shane if he's scared to talk publicly. He says, yeah, around his mate, sure. But what about in front of your teachers? He says, oh, no, I'd never talk in front of my teachers. That kind of stuff. So, I don't know. It's an interesting insight into the youth, these kids of today.
Well, they don't talk. They generally spend all their time texting.
Yeah.
My own son is an info junkie, as I call him. He spends all his time, he wakes up with the phone in his hand, he's texting his mates.
Absolutely.
He don't talk.
Now these guys take their, true as Bob, they take their BlackBerries onto the pitch when we're playing cricket.
But it's also cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, text nothing. BBM. Do we all know what BBM is, by the way? We certainly do after the riots, yeah. So the whole thing with the young guys about BBM is that it's practically free. If you have some sort of data allowance, it is free. It is cheap as anything. It almost renders text and voice irrelevant. Shane said to me a few times, if I don't have text and voice, it doesn't matter, because everything I know about comes through BBM. And that's why all the young guys have BBM, because they're all talking to each other. I've seen them sending jokes to each other while we're sitting waiting to bat, rather than talking to each other just there. It's amazing. And when I say, guys, please don't take your phone into the field, they look at me like I'm crazy. Oh, seriously? So they're very dependent on these devices. The reason they like BlackBerries as well is because they got buttons, easier to text, and the pace at which they text is amazing, or send messages, whatever you want to call it. So what's also interesting for me is what happens when they do get to the age where they can afford an iPhone. Are they going to get an iPhone? Because they don't have iPhones, and they don't like iPhones. They're completely uninterested in iPhones. So I don't know. Could be Android. Some of them have Androids as second phones to play Farmville and stuff on. But other than that, it's very interesting. Interesting to see what happens to the kind of the always-on generations, what they call them. Right, I'm getting to a slightly contentious issue here. I want to talk about communities. I've had this theory for years. It's not stats-based, this one. It's just something I've had in my observations. I've been working with, before there was social media, there were forums, stuff like that. I've been working with online communities for years, and what you find out very quickly, first thing you learn about online communities is that they could be anywhere in the world, from Fiji to Hawaii. That's going the other way around the time zone, is that people come together for a common interest. They come to share a common interest. So when you talk about communities today, it's not how they're spoken about in the Daily Mail. Communities have a common interest, and you could be anywhere. Okay. There's obviously still your kind of geographical community, as we know from what happened a few months ago. But the real community is a point of interest. You know, 2 examples, not just Ford, but the Ford RS Owners Club. Everyone can tell me why RS is special. I don't know. I'm sure some sort of racing car. Anyone know? Rally Sport. You guys members of that website? Just checking. Very good. But so, you know, the communities are so specialized that they go right down to the model of the car that they're sharing information about. You know, knitting. What on earth is there to talk about in knitting? I'm sorry if I don't understand, but anyway. So you have communities on knitting. And I'm approaching this slowly because I have a very contentious point, and knock me if I'm wrong here, especially the policeman, please. And what's happened now, obviously, with mobile is it's really sped things up. You know, you don't have to wait until you get back to your computer. This is an interesting point for what I'll bring to next. You don't have to wait until you get back to your computer before you can send messages.
Depends on the capabilities of the platform.
Yeah. But we'll get to that now. So the platform. So it depends on the capability of the platform and whether you've got access to wireless mobile. So 3G. Yeah, exactly. So the point I'm going to get to now, we're going to go off forums for this point. We're going to talk about the rights. Okay, just quickly. I don't want to profess to be an expert, but I have a point, and it's a point about communities. Okay, and the points of interest. Okay. That's the interesting point right there, is that the very next day, it kicked off in Brixton. As an officer, I mean, it's kind of expected that it'll all be in the same area, right? When something kicks off, they're worried about what happened to Mark Duggan. So it's a community thing. They went to the police station to protest, right? So you're expecting it all to kind of be in the same area. Then all of a sudden it hits Brixton, which is very far away. You can't tell me these are the guys in the same community. They don't know who Mark Duggan is. Okay? What's the most important, most interesting bit for me now is that's a few hours later. It's like 5 hours later. It's spread across central London. So my point is that no other way could this have spread faster than via mobile phones. I think we all know that. If they all had to go home, if they were all out hanging with the mates, but they all had to go home and see, ooh, a message on my computer, oh, we're all congregating, and come back together, it would never happen. But why did it happen all over London? What is the common thread? I don't know what the exact point is, and I don't profess to know, but the point is this community of scallywags had a common interest, be it we don't like the police or we want some free stuff from JD Sports. I don't know. I don't profess that, but the point is they have the common interest, and that's why it spread so quickly. After that, media coverage, I think, and it just kind of fueled after that, when it all started happening in Hackney by the next day, I think, we can't say that for sure was the mobile networks and this point of interest that everyone had. So that's where I cut off this story. But maybe a better example, if you're looking from space, if you're an alien looking from space and you see what was happening in the Arab Spring and in the riots, it looks like a very similar thing. So maybe there you can understand what the point of common interest was. The point of common interest is, we don't want this leader anymore. And you can call it a social media revolution, but actually we've had social media for 10 years, 15 years, I don't know, however long. Why has it happened now? Because it's on the mobile. That's a very interesting point. What this means for policing in the future, I don't know.
It means you've got to be quicker.
bring in the troops right from the beginning. I don't really want to get into that, but I mean the point is that it's not like it used to be, and this is the whole point of the speech: how mobile has changed your world. For me, I found that very interesting. I hope you do too. Let's move on to a lighter subject. Also, running with my theme of checking your audience before you talk. We have some gentlemen from Canon, yeah, so I hope I don't get mutilated for this one. But so what's changed? In the old days, the photograph was the end of the journey. I remember this because my brother's a professional photographer, and we had a kind of cellar room in our house that my dad had just given to him and said, "It's yours." It was his dark room. And my brother used to go out and take 36 pictures because that's all you could get out of your film. It cost a blooming fortune. And then you wouldn't see him for 2 days because he'd be in his dark room. You know, he came out, he couldn't see properly, it was like a mole. But the joy for him was developing this amazing photo and only getting one good photo out of the 36 films that he took. So the photo was the end journey. What happened to it? Shoebox. Done. What's changed? That's interesting. What's changed with digital is that you take the picture, put it on your computer, share it off to the internet. So when digital cameras came, the journey changed. The picture was not, actually I think I've said, yeah, you take the snap with film, the snap, and then you get the picture. Now you snap and picture at the same time. So that's only the beginning of the journey. Now you can share it. You've got a gazillion places where you can share it. What's interesting about mobile's come along and just accelerated this beast. Because now you don't even have to take your SD card out, put it into your computer, mess around with Picasso for ages, and then upload it. Now it's just bang, you're on. Much to my dismay, as a brother of a professional photographer and a bit of a purist, the pictures are rubbish. You know, that's why they invented Instagram, to make rubbish pictures look deliberate. And that's why it's so popular, you know. So, yeah, I mean, the best example of instant pictures was when there was that plane crash on the Hudson River.
They are like the fifth most valuable startup on the planet at the moment, apparently.
Good for them. Yeah, but I mean, it's clever, isn't it?
Even though they're not on Android yet.
Yeah, and when are they coming to Android?
I don't work for them.
All right, so no disclaimer. I mean, the thing about them is it's not really the filters. The filters help, but the thing about them is they make sharing really interesting and they make it work really quickly. It's like a form of micro-blogging. Great service. I don't know how to use it because I've never had a Mac product in my life. So the best example of instant photography there was, you know, the Hudson River crash. It was the first thing that everybody saw. It was there before the newspapers. It's instant now, and that's what's changed the world. And the amount of sharing that's going on is crazy. The only kind of relevant mobile picture stats I could get, obviously, was from someone like Instagram. 150 million in the past year pictures. That's just amazing. 10 million subscribers. What's also changed is you know a lot more about the picture now. Not all of these are necessarily because of mobile, but because of digital and mobile. You know who took it, because it'll be your Twitter handle or your Facebook account or whatever else. You know where it was taken because there's GPS. You know what camera because it has all those kind of settings on it. And you know what settings you use. It's who's in it because you can tag it, and the time and date. I mean, you used to be able to have the time and date, but my word, did that little stamp ruin your picture.
And all that's very interesting for us, particularly with riot pictures.
It's very true. So if they were geotagged, you know exactly where it happened and what time and everything.
Yeah, pick folk during the riots.
They should have a unique number for each camera so you can identify the person and arrest them.
That's probably there as well.
I don't know, is it, Rob? Is it? Ah, there you go. You two should talk. I'll introduce you afterwards. Cool. What are we going on to next? Right. This is a very clumsy statement. The point I'm trying to make here is this. I have a Nokia, by the way, for a few reasons. But I'm an Android fan. Wait, where is my tab? Here it is. iPad uses Note. I pulled that out of my pocket. That's mobility. So this is my phone. I have a long theory on that, but that's besides the point today. So this little phone, I have a message. This little phone can do a lot of things for me. It turns me into a moving data point. And I explain it in a very simple way. I'll explain it something we all understand, that's jogging. Maybe some of us need to understand a bit more than others, especially me. But jogging in the 80s. This is my dad, by the way. It's my brother, a professional photographer, took a picture. Not really. This is him getting warmed up for his big jog when we used to live in a town called, I kid you not, East London in South Africa. And 1986, 1987, I was about 6 years old. I was always in awe of my dad when he went out for a run. And I was like, wow, Dad, where are you going to run to today? So I'm going to run to the end of Quigney Pier. And I went, whoa. I mean, I can only walk to Quigney Pier and back. You know, I can only walk the pier and back, and I'm finished. I was like, my dad's amazing. Most boys think that about their dads. He said to me, well, son, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. While he did his stretches. We all remember that song? Every day, to this day, every time I jog, when I'm stretching and I'm warming up, guess what's playing in my head? I'll never forget that. I thought, oh, my dad's well cool. He pumps that into his Walkman, puts his Billy Ocean tape Awesome. Huge, big things on, ready to run. I've got a point. I've got a point here. I'm just showing how cumbersome the process of running was in the 80s and the very little value you got out of it. Then he whips out his Casio Illuminator. I remember this because I always wanted an Illuminator because you press the screen and this big green light comes up. You can see it in the dark. It's amazing. You wake up in the middle of the night and go, ooh, that's the time. That's technology in the 80s. The point of the Casio is the only thing he could track when he was jogging was how long he jogged for. The only other way you could estimate at a distance was then to drive the route afterwards. If you're like me, I hate running on the roads. That's not going to work for me. So that was jogging in the 1980s. The only thing you could track was time. Today, with my phone, I can do it with this very unsmart phone. This basic Nokia, it's not even a touch screen, but it's got everything I need. It's got GPS. It's got everything else. Today, I can track steps, pronation, average speed, the route I took, which I always found fascinating, especially when you're traveling and you're running across Golden Gate Bridge. That's awesome. That's a piece of memory right there. I ran Golden Gate Bridge. That was cool. Your effort in terms of kilojoules, your top speed, your average speed, your maximum speed, blah, 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 everything you can want to dissect about speed, graphs coming out of ears, and of course the time, just like the phone. So this is a simple example. We all know it, is how you have been changed to turned into a mobile data point. It's quite scary in a way, just by slipping a phone in your pocket. If you want to get better GPS reception, stick it on one of those armband things. I've learned that. Phones can also track your sleep patterns today. Something funny, Steve?
These guys are Instagram with each other.
All right. Enjoy it. That's my point. Right. The main point of my argument about mobile is I want to say it's now. It's not quite as now as it is in South Africa and in Kenya and so on, but it's pretty much now. It's mainstream. The only way something becomes what it is when you declare it. I asked my geography teacher once, how does South Africa become a first world country? It says when we declare we're a first world country. Obviously, if you don't have anything to back that up with, you look stupid. But what I'm trying to do is start this thing where I say mobile is now. There's a few reasons why I say that. One of the big reasons, compare it to the standard. What is the standard today? Is desktop. So let's start with growth. And amazing, that crazy green graph over there, this is from Morgan Stanley. That crazy green graph is just iPhones and iPads. iPhones and iPads, not iPods. That's just, you just have to look at this, the way that graph points up. When you compare it to desktop, which is the yellow one, you can see the growth. At any moment now, they're going to blow it out of the water. There's going to be a lot more mobile going on than desktop computers, which is pretty awesome. By the way, I've got links to most of these stuff, so we can share this afterwards. So you can go check out where I got all this data from and stuff. Okay, cool. You can see the link just up at the top there. You can read more background and detail about it. But it's amazing, the stat. I've never seen a graph like that. Points straight up. I wish I could get that in my statistics. I'd be paid a lot more. Something else really interesting. Sorry, I just have to go to read it. Something else really interesting is in 2012. Sorry, these two contradict each other. The 2015 one is correct. I don't know what I was doing there. So the bottom two contradict each other. The 2015 one is correct. The amazing point is that there'll be more mobile phones next year than there will be desktop computers in, I think it's Europe. Yeah, I think it's Europe. And also the really complicated slide on the back basically means already there are more, sorry, the graph on the right, there are more mobile devices on Wi-Fi than there are computers, laptops and desktops, which is pretty interesting as well. So that changeover point has come. 2012 seems to be the year. 2015 is the ultimate year. And what's the ultimate signal of this whole thing shifting? Is that the world's biggest laptop or personal computer manufacturer stopped making personal computers. Or they might be, they might not. No one knows what's going on. But the point is that they came out straight out and said, we're no longer making personal computers and tablets. That was HP. That's what's at the top. That's a huge signal of a changing industry. So what else is important about mobiles and why I think it's becoming mainstream? 10 million Brits today are paying for things on their mobile phones. Who's paid for something on their phone? Raise your hands. Would you say it's about 1 in 3? Round about. That's interesting because there's only 30 million Brits on the internet. So 1 in 3 people, in, the people that would do it, are doing it already. That's close. I guess 50% is when you reach mainstream, but we're close. Not only that, but PayPal globally, so I think it's the only PayPal stat I use because Google didn't have a good enough stat. Sorry, man. I'm picking on you. PayPal is processing 10 million a day, 3 billion a year for this year. It's awesome. Everything we talk about in mobile just doubles every year. It's just insane. And customers have spent $1 billion at Amazon on mobiles in the last year. That's before Amazon had anything specifically for them. It was before Amazon launched the Fire yesterday. We'll talk about that later. Yes? Good question.
We traditionally think of that as mobile.
Yeah.
That is also now mobile too, right? So, and the different companies need to
Yeah.
use both. So, how do you
So I know, okay, yeah. So define mobile. Great question. What is mobile? I think this is mobile. I don't think an iPad is mobile because I can put this in my pocket. I think an iPad is a laptop without a keyboard. They're a very good piece of equipment. I won't take that away from them. It's all right, it'll survive. It's a brick. I suppose you can define it on the operating system it's using. If it's using some sort of mobile operating system, then it's mobile.
Surely anything with a SIM card is mobile.
Do laptops have SIM cards in them?
What's a laptop?
It's mobile. Yeah, I know. Okay. Well, I don't know. Shall we take a vote? They've got a valid point. They've got, surely anything with a SIM card in is mobile, because anything with a SIM card then is using 3G.
Is it not more where you use it, what it is?
Possibly. So it's either, anyone else want to add to this? So it's either the platform that you use, so it's either Android or iOS or whatever else is out there. The rest don't really count. Oh, sorry, Windows Phone 7, Steve. 8 coming out soon, isn't it? I like that. I like it. Okay. But we'll discuss this at length, but for the sake of what I've said, when I talk about mobile, it's tablets and mobile phones. But that may be incorrect in your opinion, but I'm the one talking. So to finish the point, so either it's platform, or it's using 3G, or it's a lifestyle thing. Or?
It's a point of sale in a retail store that doesn't need a fixed line going to it.
Come on, man. It's way too complicated. But yes, PayPal is going into point of sale. Thanks for bringing that up. I was asked to sell a little bit. Okay, so it's a great question, and mobile. Sometimes the grammar Nazis will rule me out here because sometimes I say mobile, sometimes I say mobiles. It's whatever you want to make of it. But these stats and most stats that you read about on the internet, when they talk about mobile, they're talking about mobile phones and iPads. I mean, do people even buy netbooks anymore? Because it's iPads. Sorry, tablets, not just iPads. Yeah. Cool. Let's move on. It was getting over there. Why did I put QR codes? Yeah. When I'm trying to argue the point of mobiles being the future, or mobile being right now, because this is a right now kind of technology. I love QR codes. A lot of people think they're clumsy and no one uses them. I'll counter that in a second. But they're so cool. The point is, forget about what they do. The point is, it takes the real world and it integrates it with a phone. All of a sudden, the phone is interacting with a poster. It's magic. We've wanted that for years. I know I've been doing visual marketing for years. What I used to call visual marketing. I was like, if only what I put on this poster, someone could just go straight to the website. Oh, it exists now. This is cool stuff. Maybe I'm a bit of a fanboy. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. Jess agrees? Disagree? Because no one uses them? You have to have the software on your phone. Okay. So no one's using it.
A lot of companies are using it now. I've seen a lot on posters, and I went to an archaeological dig just by chance.
That QR code does work, by the way.
All the QR codes were there for the dig of what was happening on the side, all the stats and figures, and you just scan them.
So I agree with Jess. And I will bring up another point later when we talk about NFC.
Can I have time to explain an example of pictures of this? That's very cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Jess keeps interrupting me, so what are we going to do? Just let me know about time, yeah?
Yeah, 15 minutes.
15 minutes? Oh, blimey. All right, so we're going to talk about the examples. You're going to stop talking, I'm going to talk. So that example top right is one of the most awesome examples I've ever seen of QR codes. It's in Korea. Korea, I think it is. Yeah, South Korea. A lot of you have seen this, but it's the best example I've ever seen. It looks like a supermarket, doesn't it? Which is cool. But what it actually is a poster on a subway in Korea. Apparently they have cell phone reception down there. Wow, first world, you know. So what happens is they figured out, this was Tesco's in Korea. They figured out that you can do your shopping. What are the most important bits? Milk, bread, cool drink, whatever. You can do your shopping while you're waiting for your train. How awesome is that? You just take your phone, that's a really big phone, and you just go bleep, 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 check out, done. This is amazing stuff while you're waiting for your train, because what else are you doing when you're waiting for your train? I can't remember the delivery, but I think it gets there a few hours after you get home. So you get home and make a cup of tea with your milk that you ordered with your QR code in the tube station. That is the future. It's not in England, by the way. So that's a great example. It works so well that Tesco changed their name to Home Serve or something. I can't remember.
It wouldn't work on the train, though, would it, at Waterloo in the morning?
No. No. Wouldn't work on the tubes because there's no mobile reception. It wouldn't work. There's no Wi-Fi. We've got a long way to go. But at the same time, in South Africa, I paid the equivalent of £150 for a 1 meg line and 3 gig cap. So don't moan too much about your internet. We've got it good over here. Some other people got it better. Moving on. So no one uses QR codes, is what I hear a lot. 14 million people a month. In America only. They're probably using it a lot more than everyone else. I'm sorry, that's a lot. And then, look at all the places that they're scanning it. It's pretty cool. If you're running print ads at the moment, put a QR code in there. What difference does it make? Make sure you've got a mobile website attached to them, because we'll get onto that later. But put a QR code in, because people are going to go interact with you straight after. So it turns your piece of paper advertisement into an interactive whatever, which is cool. Also very interesting that people are scanning QR codes on their computers, so that's going off their computer onto their mobile. I don't know for what reason, but there must be a good reason. We're going to shoot along now. These ones will go quickly. So in the theme of how mobile's changing things, let's talk about consumer marketing. A lot of business people, let's do a bit of marketing. I'm not going to give you specific answers, but I'm going to say what's changed when you want to market to people who have smartphones. This is Brian. Brian has a smartphone. 89% of Brians use their smartphones all day. So obviously, Brian's are smartphone users. Yeah? If you didn't get that analogy, now you know. So a lot of people are using it all day, all the time, always on. Brian's are multitaskers. They're using their phone. Sorry, there's a really small text, so I'll read it out. They're using their phones. 72% are using it during something else. So it could be listening to music, could be watching TV, using the internet, playing games. What's the point? If you've got a TV advert, Sky's doing it now, pause and scan. Because you can interact, you can turn it. And there's another stat, I didn't use, sorry, these are all Google stats, but Eddie's bored out of his mind. This is all from Google Think, an amazing website. Go Google Think. And they've just got amazing stats about mobile and consumer usage. The point is, if you've got a TV advert, people on their phone, 72% of people with smartphones have searched that ad. Why make them search? Just make it easy for them. Put the QR code there. So it makes you think about how you're doing your marketing. Brian's in a hurry. When they get out of the train station, they're looking for a coffee. They say, coffee. They want that coffee right now. I'll get to the point why that's important in a minute. Brian's also ready to take action. Smartphone users are doing a search for a reason. Most of the time, when I'm searching on my computer, I'm doing research, messing around. When I'm searching on my phone, it's because I have a reason to search. I want to do it right now. I want to take an action. And you've got your actions right there. So if you're a local business, if you're not on Google Places, you're missing out. If you're not optimizing your search, blah, 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 doing ads, you're missing out. So what does this mean for businesses, marketers, whatever you want to call it? People are always on. That means they're always accessible. It means you can market to them 3 o'clock in the morning if you want to. If your audience only comes alive at 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe you're a kebab shop. Good time to market to them. Multitasking. Doesn't make much sense. Oh yeah, it does. So on your ads, give them a call to action to go to their mobile, because wherever they see your ads, they've got their phone with them. So try and get them, extend the relationship, not just past an ad. Go and get them onto your website so they can find out more about what you're trying to sell. Okay, they're in a hurry. This is vital, and we'll do a whole slide on this. Get your mobile flow sorted out. Make sure you've got mobile, You've got a mobile optimized page, you know, mobile, blah, 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 everything. You may think that sounds obvious, but I'll show you something else later. And they're ready to take action. Make it easy for them to take action. Certain Google ads, certain Google mobile ads allow you to make the call right from the ad. That's pretty cool. But if they go to your website, let them take action. Make it easy for them, because they're on a phone, big buttons, whatever it is. So this is my point about your mobile flow. Mobile search, mobile barcodes. Optimize your emails for mobile. Optimize your mobile banners. Wherever they land, if they land on a search result, let them take action. Your mobile page is really important. What's the point of paying for all your mobile advertising and sending them to a web page which doesn't work on the phone? You can't see what's going on. Okay? And then CTAs are really important. Your call to action, sorry. I'm using abbreviations there. Allow them to call on something, click really quickly, download it really quickly. It's a really cool one. A lot of people are just looking for where your business is if you're local. Make it easy for them to find you. Have at least copy and pastable directions. Or if they hit the button, it launches Google Maps. Bang, it sends you on your way. That's cool. That's really helping your consumer get to your business. Don't make it hard for them. So this sounds obvious, doesn't it? But 76%, according to Google, 76% of business sites are not mobile optimized. This makes Brian really sad. Why don't we do this? Brian wants to pay money at your business, but you're not helping him. Something to think about if you have a website. How's it changing B2B marketing? I'm storming ahead now, realizing I've probably got about 10 minutes left. We're going to fly. This is Joe. Joe's very executive. Joe, according to this research, is pretty high up in the business. He's a decision maker. Joe has 4 mobile devices. Now, getting back to that contentious issue, one of those is a laptop, according to this research. So he has the company issue BlackBerry. Sorry, up to 4 devices, I should say. The company issue BlackBerry. He has his iPad or his tab. He has his personal iPhone or Android device and his laptop. He's always on the move. He's got 4 devices, up to 4 devices with him all the time. That means this guy is doing a lot of stuff online. 56% of Joes communicate mainly on their mobile device because they're always on the move. They're always going somewhere. Most of them prefer accessing their work emails, obviously not a good email they got there, on their phones while they're on the go. They're not using their laptops anymore. There's another stat, 44% of them are not taking their laptops when they leave the office anymore. That's pretty interesting. That's mobile revolution. And they're ready to take action. I can't see it from here, but anyway. This is taking action on mobile sites. They're happy to do all sorts of things, leaving their details, just let them take an action when they get to your mobile site. They don't want to browse hours and hours of information, right? Talking about YouTube, 200 million people, not executives, 200 million people a day watch mobile videos. You can understand what the problem is with the carriers when 200 million people are doing it. 83% of executives watch work-related videos. Sorry, 75% watch work-related videos. Another step, 51% of them then share them with their work colleagues. So are you doing work videos? Is this something worth trying out? That's something mobile will be trying next year. Andy, mobile videos. Mobile search to mobile video to, which I'll show now. And these are so this isn't every video, 53%. 53% of them have responded to a work-related or a business-related video in this way, and so on and so on. So it's not just a video for fun, it's actually generating actions. I'm going to give you an example, both good and bad, of how this could work, right? Just take note of the stats, what these videos got, and it's a B2B video. Everyone says, oh, B2B, you can't do all that. B2B is boring. Maybe it's not entirely true. Right. Why do I do this?
Yeah, I don't know what it is in person. Makes them just up in a bed in a perfectly good shopping cart. Now, see, the key is, you gotta talk to them in their own language. That's good, that's good. She understands me. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, yeah. People say to me, well, how'd you learn to do that? How'd you learn to talk to them like that? Come on, you can't stay in there. Can't live in there forever. You gotta go. Get on out. Come on, girl. Look at that! Yeah! Go on, girl! My heart is just pounding.
Love that video. It's made a few years ago, actually, which shows that these kind of platforms have longevity, right? What was the point of that video? If you're in e-commerce like me, an abandoned cart is your worst nightmare. It's your worst nightmare. You've done everything to get that customer into your business. He's put stuff in the cart. He's got some DVDs, got some books, got whatever, and then disappears. That is a nightmare for anyone running an e-commerce website. So obviously their whole pitch here is, helping you abandon carts. So you can see the flow in your head. Maybe they had some mobile ads which got people to the page, or even just some video ads, got people to the video, got them interacting with an audience. And you know what? They got 4.6 million views eventually from all their videos. Those converted because they sent them straight to No More Carts. But they probably, and here's the lesson, I guess, would have converted a lot better. Where's that website? If the website didn't look like this. Explain to me what the call to action is here. And if anyone doesn't know what call to action is, it's where I must go to find out more about what you've just told me. I don't want my carts to be abandoned anymore. Where do I go? So good and bad lessons there. If they had a great website that was straight to the point, still fun, still showing the cool videos, but straight to the point and saying, if you don't want any more abandoned carts, you need to use our cool software, they would have been onto a winner here. But let's assume that it converted well. That video would have made great ROI for them based on, how many hits it actually got. Does that make sense? Does everyone understand that? It's a simple way of doing B2B executions. So, Joe wants to hear from you, please, on one of his 4 devices. Joe's an executive. This is the last bit. I'm sure you're all ready to drink. I'll go through this really quickly. So this is a bit more turning on to mobile. What's going to happen? Now, futurologists are idiots, okay? You cannot predict 10 years' time what technology is going to be doing because, 10 years ago, they didn't know that Facebook would be here, or Twitter, or anything. And that's totally changed the game. So I'm not trying to do futurology here. This is stuff that is already here, but it's just not quite mainstream yet. NFC, we spoke about. NFC is really interesting. Now, you've probably heard a lot about NFC in terms of payments. Sure, that's one way of doing it. So you just take your phone, and you walk up to the reader, and you go, bleep, anything under, I think it's going to be 15 pounds, something like that. Under a nominal amount, you just go, bleep, no PIN codes or anything to enter. Works great at places like Pret and McDonald's. Go, bang, you're out your way. It's pretty cool. And it also means you can pay with your phone. But also, what it really is a communication platform. So it's great for data sharing. Apparently, Nokia are going to help you pair devices with it. It's much better than using Bluetooth and all that because you don't have to pair. You just go touch, and they're talking to each other, which is brilliant. And for me as a marketer, we're talking about QR codes and how clumsy they are and having to install software and all that stuff afterwards. What you'll probably see in the near future, and that's a real live example of one, is an NFC chip, because the chips are dirt cheap. They're just, they're like you have on clothing tags and stuff. What you'll see in the near future is instead of faffing around with your QR code is an NFC, you just go blip, and it comes up on your phone. Brilliant. Now that's much better than QR codes. Same concept, but much smoother. And you don't, for NFC, as far as I understand, you don't have to open up an application. It's just kind of there. It's a chip on your phone. Yes? Absolutely. So also think about the potential for campaigns for mobile marketers. Sure. I mean, do whatever you want with it. It's a very cool platform. The point is now that your paper or anything can talk to your phone just like that. That's cool. And actually, 2 phones can talk to each other. PayPal, we've got a video where we showed a demo. You can send money across each other. Right? HTML5, I call it the great disruptor. It's very exciting stuff. Basically, don't get too worried about the detail. What it is websites, but much better. It's what websites should have been, or what websites will be. It gives you kind of app-level integration. Why this is important, some of you might have heard about the Financial Times rigmarole. They weren't happy with the App Store charging them 30%, per whatever revenue, blah, blah, blah. And then Apple keep the data of the people. So you can't target anything for your users. You can't give them a customized experience because Apple keeps that data, which is not nice. So they said, you know what, forget about you. We'll go make our own HTML5 app. And if you go to the website, it works great because all you do is you just create a shortcut on your tab, and it works perfectly. It works just like an app, which is cool. So it's a way to bypass the stores. But what that means for the future, I have no idea, but we'll find out. And so they're saving money. It's great for compatibility. Rather than creating an app for every app store, you can just create an HTML5 website, and it'll work just as well. It's supposed to be much better than Flash, and there's no add-in, so on. It's great. I think you're going to see some amazing stuff come from HTML5 in the future. That totally changes the game because it's a way to bypass the app stores and the dominance that Apple and Google and all of them have on that kind of stuff. The cloud, hate this word. Please, if you're marketing, don't use the word the cloud. Does anyone understand what the cloud is? Does everyone here understand what the cloud is? You don't, it's fine as well. Anyone don't understand what the hell the cloud is? I'm not entirely sure sometimes. It's cool. Come and talk to me afterwards. We're running out of time. But basically, everything is stored up on the internet. Isn't that just the internet? I don't know. I might be wrong. There's one of the Google guys from Cloud does Cloud. Yeah. Anyway, so basically everything, your media, your whole life is stored up on the internet. That means that you don't have to store stuff on your devices. This is the most simplistic example of cloud. Tell me if I'm wrong, by the way. And so when you're on the move, as long as you've got an internet connection, you can access your stuff, which is cool because my 25 gig MP3 collection, all legally downloaded, is not going to go on my tab, which has 8 gigs of memory. So pretty interesting stuff there. It changes the world in very many ways. It also means that if you like, your fridge, parking meters, whatever can start connecting to the internet because they'll just, all the processing power will be up in the cloud. That's going to change mobile in a big way. Aha. These are the slides I was frantically changing yesterday. The arrival of, I've called it Amazon Tab, there was Amazon Kindle Fire. Why is this important? So, created a huge backlash. Those two on the right, in the middle and the right, was the day before. Everyone is expecting Amazon to announce this $250 tab. So they all started dropping their prices. And the market went crazy for a while because Apple supposedly, we still don't know what exactly happened, supposedly cut their iPad orders by 25% based on this information. I don't entirely believe that because Apple's not the kind of company to get scared of other companies. They're very arrogant. 5 minutes. Can I take a breather? Okay, we only need 5 minutes. It's cool. We're back on track. So I'm calling it the first real competitor for the iTunes, for the iPad ecosystem. I'd love to hear the Google guys' opinions on this if they like. Why? Because in my experience as an Android user with my Android tab, there's something missing from the Google experience. Is that there's no easy way to get media onto your phone. So there's no Google MP3 store, there's no Google Music store. I know they're working on some things and some cloud services coming, I'm sure. But what the iPad does really well is everything is, if you want to rent a video, bang, you just do it. I don't know exactly how it works, I've never had an iPad, but I know that it exists. If you want to download a new album, bang, it arrives on your device, nice and seamless. That's the way it should be. Okay. Don't worry, we'll get it in the slideshow, if you, whatever you like. There's no QR codes there. The thing that Amazon presents, not only is Amazon a huge brand, and people are very comfortable buying from Amazon. Even my dad buys from Amazon in the UK. So when he comes to visit, it's waiting for him at my house. When I say even my dad, remember the picture of him. He does not like the internet. So you've got this huge brand people are very comfortable to shop at. And they've had this thing sorted out for years. Kindle with books. They've now got the streaming and they're doing great media deals with Fox and stuff like that. They've got the whole media package sorted out. Books, movies, TV shows, and music. They've got it all sorted out. And guess what? They've just delivered you a custom device that can play all of that seamlessly. They call it Whisper Sync. No syncing. It's even supposedly more seamless than an iPad. Because the iPad, you're always syncing something. This syncs without you even knowing about it in the background, apparently. The bad news is we won't be getting it for ages because none of these services exist in the UK yet. So it'll be a while before we get that tab. So it's all American right now, unfortunately. It's also not, I don't think it's the iPhone killer because unfortunately, and I was really disappointed with, sorry, the iPad killer. I was really disappointed with this. They rushed this one out for the Christmas season. So it is not how they wanted the device to be, is what I'm understanding. Tell me if I'm wrong. Apparently, in the beginning of next year, they're going to come out with a great device. Then we've got a true competitor. But it's going to be really interesting. It throws the game wide open again. Google's going to have to do some catching up on the media front. But really interesting. That what's most interesting about it is the price. You get the same similar experience at half the price. I know my dad wouldn't pay $500 for an iPad, but if you could get all those services in South Africa for $200, I'm pretty sure I'd be a lot more interested. I'm a lot more interested. I would love to have this device because I understand the frustrations of getting videos and stuff onto my Android tablet at the moment. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Two interesting points here. 2 points of risk is where I've said seamless transfer, which means obviously from the cloud to your device or from the internet to your device. The biggest risk there obviously is that if all these mobile networks go tits up, how's that seamless transfer going to work? Which is why I keep thinking maybe these guys are going to stop buying out the mobile networks. Maybe they're going to wait for them to crash so they can buy them cheap. Who knows? But I don't know what happens there. I don't think anyone does. And the other interesting one is the media owners. Media owners, you know, your record companies, your movie labels, all these guys are notoriously old world about this kind of stuff there. Netflix experienced it firsthand the other day when one of the company's stars who does Disney titles and stuff like that just decided, nope, you're not going to have our media anymore. So, which raises the question for me is, one day in the future, will Apple and Google start to look to buy out media companies because they've got money sitting around and they're looking for things to buy to protect this kind of ecosystem that's happening. There's been a lot of rumors about either Apple or Google buying Hulu. That's the start. It still doesn't own the media. Hulu is just another media aggregator, I suppose. So that's it. That's me. Thank you.